One more to go. Right about now, it's going to be 4-player. As Shadowfaxx is out, yeah, he's gonna have to be playing whatever he's going to be given to him. There we go. He's gonna be getting the Savannah back. Yep. RNGCs is not gonna be having any kind of dodging in today's match. Absolutely none. So there we are. Definitely gonna be guessing that Mediterranean is gonna be one of the next maps in there. He's definitely right now player starting with interesting gold mine. I mean, like, it's fairly safe, but it's also quite far away from the TC. Looking at this wood line and kind of curious hill here. I'm gonna be curious to wait when this is gonna be discovered. What's actually gonna be hiding there? What kind of hill and what else is gonna be up there? So otherwise, the Catoscope was of course scouting all the way to the left, and so far Shadowfaxx has found one of the front TCs the same as player. We're gonna be quite far away and into the front, as we have seen and expected before, which doesn't have to be basically following through into the TC being somewhere at the back here for Shadowfaxx, though it is at least ever so slightly likely. The second one is not gonna be that front as the one on the right flank, so therefore he's gonna have to right now hope for a bit of a hunt. You can see he's discovering through the goatee plenty of zebras on the right flank, but the other goatee is gonna be probably letting him know fairly quickly that there is another TC lurking somewhere in the darkness about like here, if I had to completely and utterly guess. And that wouldn't be such a bad position looking at the gold mine on the left side. That is kinda alright. So otherwise the TC not exactly too helpful. He would be probably hoping that there's gonna gold mine here, or maybe the TC went a bit more into the front, but yeah, well, doesn't have any more vetos, so he will have to do with what he has. At least the starting gold mine is going to be fairly safe all the way to the back, and therefore he does have enough time for the standard faster heroic from him. And I'm gonna be really curious if he's gonna be choosing to go for the bust yet again. You can see the map fairly similar for both players. The gold quite far away, the TC also being quite far away as well, as he does have at least the zebras on the right flank. And to finish my thought from a bit earlier, if the Sphinxes are yet again gonna be some kind of viable option on a map like this. So on the first one, it was Raid 1. He attempted it, didn't exactly work out. So I would be guessing he might be trying something a bit different. But yet again, the golds are not exactly great, and the positionings with the TCs are not all that inclined to let him basically boom without any kind of issue and abuse from his opponent. I'll be fully expecting that player is gonna be doing the same as he did in the very first game. So therefore, the second TC after he advances into the classical age, then switching into the Hippicons, and yeah, will survive like that, as it's one of the more reliable strategies to be playing against the how is it called? Against the Egyptians. As in this map, playing Athena Rush is not gonna be exactly all that working, because the gold being at the back. Yeah, well, if the gold was somewhere in the front, like for example here, then it might be kind of worthwhile to maybe at least drop a thought on that. Problem is that the shifting sands are a bit of a nuisance in there. They can be really annoying. But otherwise the map wouldn't be all that bad for Gold Star. So that's why potentially Athena Rush might be having some kind of like chance of success here and there. As against the Egyptians, it's usually basically trying to survive long enough until the Egyptian runs out of gold. And once you achieve that, then yeah, well, you have won the game, obviously. But anyway, that doesn't seem like what's going to be happening here. It seems that it would be much more prudent for the standard build-up of the second DC and whatnot, as the gold is fairly interestingly positioned all the way to the back here. The trees will be probably coming all the way to the side of the map. And looking at this huge wood line here, bit of a wall in there. No, that is not completely unsafe. That is not completely unsafe. Might be potentially asking for this TC. I mean, like, he can definitely get the second TC if he advances at about like 440. But it's usually advance time for a set. So, well, I'm gonna have to wait what actually Shadowfaxx is gonna be deciding to do at this point. As player is so far building up for what? He's dropping a temple. He's having 2 on chickens. He's otherwise having about like 10 on hand already. So he's trying to be advancing a bit faster. And he's having plenty of food in there. 2 on gold, 4 on wood. At about now, this is gonna be 5th on wood with Jason. And resources should be kind of close there. So he's probably gonna be force dropping. I would be expecting even. But now still waiting for that, because he's having plenty of food all across the village straight about now, so he can probably, with a bit of a force dropping, could be already advancing, but he doesn't want to. He wants to be getting still a few more villages in there, as we haven't exactly discovered any kind of relics. It really seems like we don't have any of them yet, so let's kind of wait when they are gonna be discovered. So that basically means that one has to be about like here, and the second probably somewhere here, unless we have been confused, and no, we haven't. We really haven't, as Jason is already about now going to be at least going for a bit of a disruption, and even though he has to be quite careful to basically run away from this engagement as he will be slaughtered fairly easily. He's already doing what he can, because you can see, for example, all those seconds that the villages are not working, that definitely counts, and even though it can seem like 5-10 seconds and nothing all that huge, it actually does play a bit of a difference and can be delaying advances and whatever like that. So you can see actually Shadowfaxx this time around went for a bit different strategy, with second monument already up, so he may be gonna be coming for at least a few Sphinxes nonetheless for the raiding. This time it's not the Archaic Rain. He is gonna be continuing with the standardish build up, at least for him, as he's moving with the villages and with the Pharaoh all the way to the right side. And is he moving for the TC, or is he just moving into his gold mine or whatever? Or the hunt? Well, those two villages are definitely screwed. They can try to really fight, but they are gonna be dying, at least one of them. Should have been running a bit faster, 380 and 430. Unfortunately, right about now, this villager is not exactly fast enough. Yep, gonna be dying in there. And Bolt, nice idea. Definitely a nice idea at this point, because the Pharaoh was a bit of a problem in there as far as the defense, but the empowerment was maybe a bit more of an important thingy, because it's gonna be potentially denying the second TC for like the next 90 seconds before he's gonna be reborn. As right about now, build it down, so there will be taking way too long a time. As right now, the second TC is already up there for player. He's gonna be down still raiding with the Sphinx, which is probably gonna be discovering that. Well, it depends, because right now attention of the red player is definitely gonna be up here. No, yeah, and he missed it. And he missed it. He should be having it still on minimap, but he's not even gonna be coming back, because unfortunately his attention was spent somewhere else. So the player dodged the bullet in there, because otherwise the TC would have been definitely disrupted. Maybe even a few villages would have been destroyed, but he got away with it, as he's gathering plenty of favor at this point. And well, of course, as we have seen, there were a few centaurs raiding around, but that could have been still the starting one. But the huge gathering of favor here, as he's right now switching over, that was not entirely certain actually what was that for. Not really certain at all. Maybe it was just forgot about it, or maybe he just wanted to be having a bit of favor for some kind of shenanigans later on, or whatever. Not entirely certain, but it doesn't really matter. That one villager there definitely makes sense, because that's gonna be coming for stables and other other buildings rather, and then preparing for the Mythical Age, Forge of Olympus. Right about now, it seems to me that player is already preparing for the late game, as he's scouting quite nicely. TC all the way to the back. And it's gonna be really kind of curious what Shadowfaxx decides to do. This raiding all around is gonna be just kind of compulsory, running out of the chickens already, but he does have plenty of goats still left, and therefore he doesn't need to be switching all that quickly. But still, the wood line at the back still needs to be gathered from, and he needs to be much more importantly gathering plenty of gold mines, so that he can be getting not only into the heroic age, but he can be switching into the farms a bit later, as the food is certainly running out at this point. That though doesn't mean that for a player it's going to be the same. He of course can be continuing with the hunt as long as possible, as he doesn't need to be worried about any kind of raiding at all. And it almost seems to me that he might be trying to basically steal the enemy from TC, as he kind of did in the last game. Definitely doesn't seem impossible, and will be making at least a bit of a sense for him, as Ator is in husbandry and handux. Let's check the economical upgrades. Handux and pickaxe for player. That is quite nice. And pickaxe and handux being researched, as we have seen a bit earlier. As the advance is going to be about like 850. But what is he going to be doing now? Where is he going to be dropping the Migdol? He's having still 1500 gold, which is quite enough for defensive Migdol. So he can be getting away with it. So is he going to be trying to drop here? Moving with the villages to the bottom. It almost seems to me he might be really trying to drop right next to this one. Seems to be kind of solid tactical option for him. Oh, he's gonna be catching a lift. Like literally a lift at this point. Okay, so is he gonna be dropping there? Yeah, he's gonna be dropping it in front of the gold. So he wants to be protecting it that way. Now this is gonna be fairly interesting if actually player decides to be stealing the TC right next to basically back of his base in there. So right now Eclipse is in, which is gonna be certainly helpful on both of these. And kinda much more than it, I was kinda just thinking right about now, if maybe it wouldn't have been a good idea to be blocking it by ceasefire. So I'm slightly thinking if maybe that wasn't a small plan for Shadowfaxx as well. I mean, like, he didn't need to be worried about like 1 or 2 Hippicons there all that much. with the Sphinx, the Bezuchos, and plenty of villages in there, and the Pharaoh empowering. It's not like he could have been stopping it player in there with the numbers. So I'm kind of thinking he might be actually trying to prevent that and keeping it safe, because if this was disrupted and he was forced to be moving with the TC in here, I'm kind of thinking that this whole gameplay would be significantly screwed up already, with player having so many units already at this point prepared. So he would be probably quite significantly prepared to be completely denying the TC, or rather the Migdol, even later, and it could be heading into nothing all that nice for Shadowfaxx. So while I cannot be definitely positive, seems to me doesn't have to be all that impossible. At least part of the fear for the ceasefire blocking the Migdol build-up could have been there, as it was definitely quite an aggressive play by Shadowfaxx. You can see the wall is not exactly finished, as one of the villages is dying already. But otherwise, the 3 stables. Is it only 3, or are there more? No. I did remember there being a 4th one even. So 4 stables so far, with medium Hippicons and the Spirity Charge in there on top of that. And the units are gonna be this time apparently straight Chariot Archers. Just 1 camel in there at the way, or at the very start. Not right now continuing with anything else. And there we go. This is gonna be right now Locust being cast to kill about like 4 villages, as the Sphinx is dying for it as well. And it's gonna be at least keeping player of the gold for the time being. And let's have a look what kind of effect that is going to be having. 140. He's kind of missing more on food than anything else, but still. That's gonna be resulting into a bit of a gold star. He still does have at least a few villages all the way here on the right. But still, producing Hippicons from all that many stables can be quite costly, and he's definitely not right now interested in that all that much, as he needs to be getting his economy going, and maybe even thinking about the Heroic Age, since his opponent is already in. Well, it's gonna be just a few minutes away still, as he can be right now spamming medium Hippicons and gonna be strong enough, especially looking at the army that his opponent is right now coming for, and that is plenty of Chariot Archers, rather than any kind of camels. So this army should be really good enough for him, and maybe if he goes for Copper Shields, which probably he could be affording sometime soon, and it's gonna be even better off against all of that. Alright, so I was looking, for example, with Shadowfaxx's economy right now. Oh, goddammit. Only this way of 640 wood. He's having a lot of wood. Maybe like way more than he even needs. 319 on the gold in that. The food is definitely a problem. So he probably should be switching a bit more into the gold, so that he can be producing even more farms in there. As right now he needs to be switching into plenty of farmland. And it seems to me that he doesn't have plow yet. Yeah, he doesn't, but he's gonna be of course having a plow right after, when he's gonna be finishing with that. The second DC is already being built in the middle, and it's right now not going to be disrupted all that much, but holy damn, player actually did this. He's actually trying to basically steal gold from his opponent. I mean, like, this is at the same time sneaky, and at the second time it's actually fairly clever, because he's gonna be forcing his opponent into a bit of a war situation, as far as basically gold gathering a bit later. Of course, problem is exactly this, right? About now having a problem of having to run away, and yeah, well, he doesn't just have the same numbers as his opponent at about 11 villages and even more coming forward for a quite solid, quite solid fight in there. The 7th from player is gonna be having to run away, and therefore he could be kind of disrupted right now in his echo because of that, because that's a solid portion of gold economy. And while he still has that, he is kind of at a time when he wants to be producing a few more Hippicons onto the population limit, and much more importantly, getting into the Heroic Age. So this outage is probably gonna be at least ever so slightly slowing it down, as he wants, even before the Heroic Age, getting the TC all the way to the left. And look at this gold mine. Good, really good indeed. And this one is not bad either. He's having plenty of gold mines around the TC in there, as the villages are moving exactly for the sweet spot for that safe gold mine on the left. So nicely done. Now, as the bird is gonna be right now flying all above the Hippicons, and we are finally seeing at least a few more camels being made at this point, as market is yet again being produced by Shadowfaxx, and it seems like quite a solid trade route, considering the fact that he's probably already expecting this TC to be coming for him, and therefore he feels quite comfortable with how the game is so far going. But yeah, well, he's kinda on a defensive, and therefore you'll be probably liking if he sent at least a few more like, I don't know, 4 or 5 Chariot Archers for a bit of raiding all across the map. Maybe could have been found fighting this TC, maybe the gold mine in there, or maybe something else, like even those villages when they're gonna be moving somewhere else, like into the middle. But anyway, the walling on the right side and in the middle seems to be completely finished. So the raiding is going to be getting kind of increasingly difficult, as we've seen some bigger engagement in the middle where Shadowfaxx is apparently having a bit of an advantage, or at least player seems to be thinking so. because of the maneuvering capabilities I'll be expecting. That's going to be probably the biggest reason, with Copper Mail already being in there. And this time, well, against the Chariot Archers, that's exactly what we were talking about in the last game, where we have kind of speculated that maybe player went for the weapons instead of the melee armor, because he kind of thought that the switch into the Chariots, which are right now heavy already, is going to be making them a bit more unimportant. But right about now, it seems that player is probably thinking that this opponent might be switching a bit more into the camels, as the Chariot Archers shouldn't be exactly strong enough against all of that, as Rain is coming forward, and well, he's gonna be trying to finish with the TC as soon as possible, as the Picons seem to be aiming exactly for the sweet spot. Yeah, I don't know, he's probably discovered it because of the Catastropos. He has noticed that on the minimap, and yeah, well, good idea, but unfortunately this is gonna be heading into quite a solid slaughter, as there are way too many units to be defending that, and with basically the whole army being somewhere else, like into the middle, and yeah, into the middle. The army is not exactly anywhere else, with plenty of Petsuchai already waiting here. It seems that he's gonna be, well, have to wait until this is gonna be coming up, and that might be in quite some time, because the Pharaoh died, and therefore the empowerment is gonna be gone as well. Definitely liking right now the tactical walling from player, as it's gonna be just making sure that he can be better controlling the trade that might be coming here a bit later. Curious gold mine here, might be fairly fun for Shadowfaxx a bit later in the game, as yeah, well, of course, this is exactly the threat of leaving the storehouse in there, and it's gonna be resulting into blue quite easily seen when the villages are in and when they are not exactly guarded all that much. And even though there are a few Chariot Archers against all of this, they're not gonna be all that strong enough, as Heroic Age for player is finally up there, and there is also a bit of raiding all the way through back, killing about like nothing, because that was a rock die in there. So they were apparently traveling in the rock, and that explains why I didn't see all that much of an army, because it was traveling in the transport, as player is already now switching into other types of buildings and units, archer ranges and military academies. So therefore we should be probably expecting that Mythical Age is gonna be coming not only from Shadowfaxx, but also from player who's getting irrigation, quarry, quite nice upgrades into the economy. He's gonna be well prepared, as this army seems to be going, well, kinda alright for player. It's not gonna be all that great for Shadowfaxx, but he's also trying to basically raid all across the place, and it's so far working rather nice, as he's discovering all the potential resources that his opponent might be having for the later game. And pretty good trading from player as well. As right about now, those villagers, no way for them to escape at all. Holy damn, that's gonna be a ton of them dead, as he's even destroying the market right about now. Even destruction of the market is gonna be becoming reality, and he's gonna be forced off the gold in quite a significant manner, because it's like half of the villages gone, and he doesn't have any kind of other significant spot, just a few villages all the way in the middle. He has also destroyed the market, as he's gonna be trying to finish with this, which is yet again not going to be working because of the Pharaoh missing, and even right now the fortress coming so aggressively for the large gold mine. So well played right about now by player, reading the map and being basically on top of his opponent, and like at this point, who needs underworld passage? He's already on the back TC of his opponent, well set up as if he had used that kind of powerful god power, and he's gonna be apparently quite well controlling his opponent with heavy epicons, and the baseline of upgrades already done, and it almost seems, since he's getting for the upgrades, that maybe it's not even going to be Hephaestus for the Mythic, he might be just heading for the Hera. I wouldn't be surprised all that much. He wouldn't be surprised all that much, as right now Osiris is coming forward, which is of course gonna be quite a bit of a help, as he does have the Pharaoh already right now, the new one, but he definitely has to be careful about all the horses running around, trying to find the villages all across the map, but he's already resigning, as it's going to be resulting into the GG, and yeah, player just well controlling the top TC with all the upgrades that he's already having, his opponent not having anything at all. It will be just right now coming for him, yep. This is pretty much similar situation as what we have seen in the first game, and Shadowfaxx just doesn't see how he could be coming through this. Very well controlled by player, excellently played to be honest, overall map control and how to play it, nicely done. Especially right now, it wasn't all that much of a sneak, it was just basically frontal assault on the back TC in there. Very well done, and it definitely yielded the victory right now, as it starved Shadowfaxx of the extra population limit and of the even map control for potential trade route, and the short trade just wouldn't be all that effective, and he couldn't be getting anything out of it fast enough as opposed to player. So let's check into the post game. That's gonna be 13 minutes, or rather 13,000. You can see a difference in the economy, how huge that is. That's 10,000 resources more for player. Holy damn. That is definitely something. You can see Hendaks, Quarry and irrigation. So he wasn't like all that behind all the upgrades, but player was just doing quite a nice job altogether. Unit skill pretty much the same, and the military count as well. Yeah, well, but the Greek units, if used properly, can be quite stronger. And kind of slightly more tactical because of that as well. And you can see the strong booming by player in there. As opposed to Shadowfaxx. Okay, GG.